Welcome to my review for Cult of Chucky, the 7th film in the Child's Play franchise. But does this one belong in 7th heaven or the bargain bucket of a 7-Eleven? Oh, Don Mancini, your scripts, they get so silly, and the fan reviews, they're getting chilly. Maybe it's time you got rid of Jennifer Tilly. Okay, that's all I got. So, in Cult of Chucky, we continue to follow the character of Nika as she adapts to life behind bars for all those crimes that she didn't commit. She's got to be one of the most unlucky women I've ever known, this girl. She was born without being able to use her legs. That doesn't happen to many people. Her entire family was killed by a murderous doll. That sure as shitfire doesn't happen to many people. She was sent down for loads of murders she didn't do. That doesn't happen to many people. And now she has a caseworker who wants to move her to a different facility with less cameras so he can rape her in peace. So yeah, the next time you're having a bad day, I want you to remember Nika, okay? Oh, and Chucky might be coming after her for a second time now. Or is he? Because also returning in this film is Andy Barclay in his first meaty role, all cameos aside, since Child's Play 3. And Andy has Chucky's head all tied up and in his safe. So that's it, we're good, the film's over. Well done, Andy, yay! No, of course it isn't. Because at some point towards the end of Curse of Chucky, it transpires, Chucky went on the internet and discovered a new spell which now allows him to transfer his soul into multiple Chucky dolls at once. Now, apparently this plot development was criticised a little bit by fans of the series and people who reviewed the film, but I actually quite like it. And as soon as I discovered what was going on with about half an hour of the film to go, I thought it made the action more exciting. I enjoyed the dialogue between the various Chuckies. I like the fact that some of them had different hairstyles. So for me, this whole thing is a big positive, as long as they only do it in this one film. I think when it comes to the Child's Play TV series, which is what is going to be next after this film, because the remake is something completely different, not in the same timeline, I would like to see them go back to just, you know, Chucky being on his own. But so they'll have to find a way to get rid of this spell somehow, but it shouldn't be hard. Just pretend that, I don't know, you can only use the spell 4 or 5 times or something. But it's a long-standing tradition, going back to the first Child's Play film, that they find ways to sort of level the playing field, because he's only a small doll. You know, a fully sized adult should be able to get the better of Chucky. So they've always done this. They've always found ways to sort of level things up. In the first 2 films, they put him up against a child. In Bride and Seed, they gave him helpers. In Curse of Chucky, they put him up against a woman in a wheelchair, as we know. And in this film, they give him multiple versions of himself. So this is only a continuation of what's always happened in Chucky and Child's Play films. They find a way to sort of make him a little bit tougher and give him a chance. Another big positive is the setting. I think anytime you set a horror film in a psychiatric ward or a hospital, you're always onto a winner. And this is very much a single location horror film, apart from the occasional cutaway to Andy's hunting lodge. And I love how white this whole ward is. It's just so slick and glossy. There's no clutter anywhere. I think that's a creative decision. I mean, it wouldn't take much to send a runner around, putting posters up and dropping crap if you want to make it more used. But I just love how slick and neat the whole place is. And it's never better summed up this than when this blonde nurse turns around at a station, just looks down the corridor, and it's just completely bare, and it just looks great, at least to my eye. And outside it's really snowy, so I'll remember this as the white Chucky film, not the multiple Chucky film. And you Child's Play fans are lucky, because I'm a Friday the 13th and a Halloween fan primarily, and I've always wanted a Michael or a Jason film set in the snow, but you have one in the Child's Play franchise. That's really cool. Chucky himself is really good in this installment. Brad Dourif gets some really good lines. I like when he's walking past the old woman and she just keeps badgering him, and he says something eventually like, "Are you fucking with me?" But even better is when he sort of holds the perverted doctor in admiration. He says something like, "I don't know whether to kill this guy or take notes." Just really good. His wit is razor sharp in Cult of Chucky. It's good to see. And he comes out with another good bunch of stuff in that scene where there's multiple Chuckies, but there's too many for me to even remember. And because we're in a psychiatric ward, there are lots of different weird characters who you just know are going to pop into the story and either help or hinder Nika at any given moment. I particularly liked the multiple Malcolm guy. The first scene where he reveals the fact that he's got this disorder, and Nika's look on her face is just absolutely priceless. The plot as on the whole was very satisfying to me. I did enjoy how completely unpredictable it was, mainly because of the multiple Chucky thing, but the ending as well, and I'm going to go into that now. So, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. So Chucky gets into Nika's body, and that's how he escapes. Now, on the one hand, this isn't as good as the old classic endings where we get to see him fall into razor blades or get mashed up in a toy machine, fine. But my hope is for this, that when it comes to the TV show, Chucky will get put back into a doll. I think that much is a given anyway. But also that Nika will get to escape with her legs intact now, and that'll be her happy ending, although it just depends on whether she's going to be a regular in the season or not, but we'll see, definitely. Moving on to the negatives, and I'll start with Andy's little chat with Chucky in his hunting lodge. And at the point where Andy gave him a cigarette, I'm thinking to myself, oh, they're going to be friends. How interesting is that? At least for a little while they'll be friends. But no, they weren't. Chucky completely blew it, and they were back into arguing with each other. But I think it would have been really interesting if Andy, because he's got so little friends and he can't get a girlfriend, that he would just be forced to sort of become friends with his worst enemy, and Chucky would go along with it just out of boredom. And I'd be fascinated to see that. You could almost have built an entire sequel just out of this setup, and in the second half of the movie had all the other Chucky dolls come and try and storm the lodge to try and get in. So Chucky would just be biding his time until he gets all this outside help, and so it'd almost be like a Chucky Home Alone movie, I guess, with Andy trying to fend them off. But I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that sounds good? They could still use it as the first episode of the TV show if they go that route. I liked seeing Kyle come in for that cameo, by the way. 27 years removed since she was in Child's Play 2. It was good to see her. And I don't know what she's planning to do with those pliers. It might not necessarily be to torture Chucky. It could be she's planning to actually free him and drop him in a lake somewhere, and it'll be her idea of helping Andy out by getting Chucky out of his life. And that could be the way that Chucky somehow inadvertently gets back out there into the open and Tiffany can find him or whatever. But yeah, I did sort of lament the fact that we didn't get more of a brief, genuine friendship between Andy and Chucky. I think that could have been absolutely fascinating. Now, you'll notice that I mentioned Jennifer Tilly in my little song at the beginning of the review. That wasn't an accident. I did not like Jennifer Tilly in this film, and I've had a really up and down relationship with her in these movies. I didn't like her at all in Bride. Then in Seed, I did, mainly because she was playing a version of herself in that film. In Curse, I didn't really have to have an opinion because she's only in one scene. But in this film, she goes back to annoying me again. And I just don't think she's needed for these new, more serious films that we're getting now. In Bride and Seed, fine. But in the direction that the series has gone in Curse and Cult, I just don't think we need the Tiffany character anymore. And I don't even find it believable that after 30 years, she would still be chasing around after Charles Lee Ray. And she's out here in the middle of the snow, late at night, slitting people's throats. No, I just don't find it believable. Not for a good-looking woman like her. I think she would have moved on long ago. And when it comes to the TV show, I hope to God it doesn't become the Brad and Jennifer show and they're back to being a duo again. Oh, no, please don't take that route. I just hope they don't do it. I think the ending to this film would have been far more satisfying if Chucky had got into Nika, fine, and then he just drives away on his own with a little grin as he's got his hands on the steering wheel. That would have been great. We don't need Jennifer Tilly. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. Also, I've got to say that some of the kills were a little bit bland in this film. The only one I really liked was the high heel thing going down onto that guy's face, and that was a really appropriate way to kill that guy. I liked that one. But the one with the glass that falls down and decapitates that girl, that one actually annoyed me. I said this in my review for Bride of Chucky. Glass just doesn't fall that way. It's not going to come down like that and decapitate people and impale people. And I'll tell you what, I would quite happily put myself on that hospital bed and you could drop glass onto me and I'd be perfectly confident I'd survive. I mean, I'd want a fee for doing it, but as long as you shut your eyes, all that's going to happen to you is you'll get cut in a few places and you would have to be extremely unlucky for the glass to sort of stick in you at any point. It just wouldn't happen like it's shown in these films. It just wouldn't.
Because you purchased the Blu-ray version of this review, I'm going to give you a bonus negative, which is the hot blonde nurse did not get her kid off. Disappointing.
On the whole, though, when I weigh everything up, I still think most of the bad things are offset by all the good stuff that I did enjoy about this film. This was a satisfying experience. Nika, played by Fiona Dourif, is definitely really growing on me, both actress and character. It's another great film for Brad Dourif as Chucky. It's great to see Andy Barclay back. Kyle coming back is a bonus. And yeah, I'm surprised because I'd heard that Cult of Chucky was one of the weaker ones. And I will admit on a personal level that even though I enjoyed Curse of Chucky, I had started to feel a little bit of franchise fatigue because I'd watched 6 films in quite a short space of time for the purpose of these reviews. But I feel invigorated again now. I'm totally up for the TV show when it comes out next year. I'll have a little break now before then. Obviously, I don't think it's coming out until certainly after Christmas. I don't know the exact month that it's coming out next year. I've got this reboot still to do and review. Looking forward to that. Though there is a little part of me that's a little sad now that it's not just going to be another film in this timeline, given the fact that I have enjoyed Curse and Cult. But anyway, it is what it is, and I'm sure it will be fine. So let's get to the bag of terror and find out how all this translates into a score. One, two, three. 3.5 bloody axes out of 5 for Cult of Chucky. That's exactly the same score that Curse got, and not quite as good as that classic original trilogy. Will anything ever beat that? Now, I did wonder if there might be a pin for the horror locations board today, and I've decided not to put one in because it's Tennessee. A town called Harrogate is mentioned in terms of where this psychiatric ward is set, and it is in Tennessee. I've checked out Google. I don't know if that was the intention of the filmmakers, that their Harrogate would be in Tennessee, but we already have a pin for that because of the Evil Dead 1, so I'm not going to put another pin in there. I'll just leave it alone. Right, I'll be back soon for the reboot review for Child's Play. Until then, I'll see you. Bye-bye.